everyone, welcome back to Skybite Studios, and in this video we're going to be doing an unboxing and review of Transformers Studio Series number 65, Voyager Class Blitzwing. And as always with these reviews, please stay tuned to the end, as I will be showing both transformations and both modes. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the box of the figure. Alright, and here is Blitzwing in his packaging, and as expected, he's in that usual Studio Series style of box with that primarily red and black color scheme throughout. You also get images of Blitzwing throughout the box, and on the back he does say he transforms in about 27 steps, which is pretty accurate, and I will say he is one of the more fun transformations. But anyways, with the packaging out of the way, let's go ahead and get this unboxed. And just before we get to the figure itself, we're going to take a quick look at the backdrop that comes with this figure. And now here we have Studio Series Blitzwing opened up and in his vehicle mode. And as you can see, he is in that jet that you saw in the Bumblebee movie. I believe he is the last character to get a figure from that movie in the Studio Series line. And as you can see, he does look pretty cool, as expected from other jet transformers. You're going to see a lot of that undercarriage underneath him where most of the robot stores. But it's not anything that's terrible. We've seen worse on other jet transformers. But there you go. The color scheme on this is pretty good. There's a kind of off-white color scheme as the base color of this. And then you get a little bit of that blue/gray that's like on the tail fins and on the nose cone section of this jet. And then you have a little bit of red stripes going on those wings. And you can see that the landing gear is up on that. You can see on the bottom of the front of the jet that is retractable. However, it does not roll. It's just a molded in tire in that little section. And you might be able to see the weapons that are stored underneath. Here you get those kind of missile launchers on the wings. And just under that belly of the jet mode, you could see the kind of missile launcher that the robot mode carries just underneath there. But overall, that's pretty much it about the general look of the figure. Let's take a look at some of the details. Up close, you can see some of the great molded details, as well as that cockpit section, which is covered by a yellow transparent piece of plastic. Going into the comparisons, first off, we're going to start with the Volkswagen version of Studio Series Bumblebee here. Next, here we have Studio Series Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie. And we have his fellow baddies. Here he is next to Dropkick, the car version of Dropkick, I should say. And finally, here he is next to Shatter, the jet version of that character. And now here we have Studio Series Blitzwing transformed into his robot mode. And I don't know about you guys, but that transformation was pretty fun. There's nothing really complex about it. It's pretty straightforward, and the robot mode for the most part is pretty clean. There's not a lot of kibble on there, as you can see on the back of the figure. If there are any kibbly parts, I would say it's just those tail fin sections that are on the bottom part of his legs. But that's pretty much it. It's a pretty clean robot mode, and I love the proportions and the details. It looks weird how his head is a little small, but I think that's pretty accurate to the CGI design. And it's in this mode where I have to say this is the reason why this was one of my most anticipated Studio Series figures just ever. Other than Devastator, this is one figure that I was extremely excited for. And people have mentioned this before, and I'm gonna mention it again. This would have made a perfect Starscream design, and it still looks great as Starscream if you want to think of him that way in terms of that opening CGI battle on Cybertron. He looks great, and you're going to see how great he looks next to the other figures as well in this mode. And in terms of his ability to stand, it's nothing really to complain about. He doesn't have much in terms of heel spurs, but it's a pretty balanced figure overall. And part of that is because of his thin proportions. There's not a lot of bulky or heavy parts on him to bounce around. The heavy parts, I would say, are the cockpit section on the front and the wings, but again, since they are on opposite sides of the figure, they balance it out pretty darn well, so you shouldn't have any problems posing this figure. Going into the details of this figure, you can see the head sculpt there. I had to turn it to the side because that chest section would block it, but you can see how great it looks up close. And continuing with the details, you can see on that upper section, pretty much, you have a lot of that great detail that continues from the vehicle mode. And all of those details continue into like the rivets you could see on the leg sections, which look pretty awesome. In terms of his accessories, he has this kind of weapon that's used to take out Bumblebee's voice box, and it looks good. It's just molded dark gray plastic, and then the other weapon here is kind of his missile launcher, and they are interchangeable, and we are going to plug those into the robot mode right now. They can go on either arm. There's just a slot at the forearm there that plugs into, and there you go. You can see that's what he looks like with that weapon. For the other one though, you will have to take off his hand and peg in that weapon as such. Going into the articulation of the figure, the head is on a ball joint, so you can move it all the way around and look up and down just a bit. Going into the arms, it can go a little bit past the T-pose, and there are 2 points of articulation in that shoulder section. One primarily for the transformation and one closer to the actual shoulder of the figure, as you guys can see. And then you could bend the elbow there way past 90 degrees, which is good. And then moving this little part out of the way, you can swivel the wrist all the way around because it can be unplugged, as you can see. And it's fair to say on the right hand, it can open and close, not on the left hand though. The waist has a slight wobble to it, as you can see, and the legs can go out about that far. It can move forward that far, and it can move back about this far. It's also fair to say that that skirt section can be articulated as well as the wings if you need it to be. The knee could bend about that much, and then you have a swivel there just above that knee section. And the ankles could tilt in pretty far, but not up and down. However, you do have use of that toe. Now going into the comparisons of this mode, there he is next to that Volkswagen Bumblebee. Here he is next to Studio Series Optimus Prime. And here he is next to Dropkick. Finally, here he is next to his fellow jet transformer from the film. Here's Shatter. Alright, and here we have Blitzwing transformed back into his vehicle mode, and usually there's a transformation where one's more difficult than the other. This one I would say is slightly more difficult, the one going into vehicle mode, but it's not much of a biggie. This is not at all an irritating transformation. Like I said earlier, it is quite fun. And in terms of my overall thoughts of the figure, it looks great. This one did not let me down at all. All that anticipation was well deserved. And this is one of those figures where if Hasbro wanted to repaint it as the other Seekers that we saw pretty much as cannon fodder in the opening scene of the Bumblebee movie, I would purchase those because this mold looks awesome. And I wouldn't mind having a lot more of it in different color schemes. It would have a pretty nice presence on my display shelf. Well, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys have any questions about this figure, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Hopefully I'll see it. If I don't, hopefully someone else will be able to help you guys out. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe for future videos from Skybite Studios on YouTube. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.